Did you know that 87% of Dubai visitors have never tasted the one dish that locals consider the soul of their city? While millions flock to see the Burj Khalifa and shop in glittering malls, they walking past culinary treasures that tell the real story of Dubai. A story written not in steel and glass, but in saffron, cardamom, and centuries-old recipes that most travel guides completely ignore. What if I told you that the most expensive meal you could have in Dubai is earned at a Michelin-starred restaurant, but involves an ingredient that once saved entire civilizations from starvation in the desert? Think about this for a moment. You've probably seen countless Instagram posts of Dubai's skyline, maybe dreamed of visiting the gold souk or riding a camel in the desert. But here is what nobody tells you. Dubai isn't just a playground for the wealthy or a testament to modern engineering. It's a living, breathing tapestry where Bedouin traditions collide with Silicon Valley ambitions, where ancient spice routes meet cryptocurrency exchanges, and where the real magic happens not in the tallest buildings, but in the humblest kitchens. Today, we're peeling back the glossy veneer to reveal the Dubai that even frequent visitors miss, the hidden culinary gems, the mind-bending cultural paradoxes, and the stories that will fundamentally change how you see this desert metropolis. Let me start with something that will blow your mind. While tourists queue for hours at fancy brunch buffets, locals wake up to something called shabab. Imagine a pancake that's been kissed by the spice markets of ancient Persia. These aren't your Sunday morning they're infused with saffron worth more per gram than gold, cardamom pods that traveled the Silk Road, and a yeast culture that some families have been nurturing for generations. At Beit al-Kanafa, in Old Dubai, I watched a grandmother prepare these using a recipe her great-grandmother brought from the mountains of Oman. She told me that each bubble in the batter represents a blessing, and the way she poured the batter in concentric circles was a meditation passed down through 5 generations. The most fascinating part, the honey they drizzle on top comes from bees that feed exclusively on desert wildflowers that bloom for only 3 weeks a year after the rare desert rains. But that's just the beginning of Dubai's breakfast revolution. Picture this: vermicelli noodles, the kind you'd expect in an Asian swimming in a golden pool of saffron-infused sweetness, crowned with a perfectly runny egg. This is balalet, a dish that shouldn't work but absolutely does. It's the culinary equivalent of Dubai itself, an impossible fusion that somehow creates magic. The noodles are sweetened with date syrup, harvested from palm trees that have stood in the same spot for over 200 years, and the eggs come from chickens fed on a diet that includes dried sardines from the Arabian Gulf. One chef told me that the secret is in the timing. The noodles must be cooked for exactly 11 minutes, no more, no less, or the dish loses its soul. It's this precision, this respect for tradition, even in the face of radical modernization, that defines true Emirati cuisine. Now, let me take you deeper into the heart of Emirati culture, with a dish that most tourists wouldn't even recognize as food. Harissa looks like porridge, sounds boring, and will absolutely transform your understanding of comfort food. During Ramadan, the aroma of harissa cooking fills entire neighborhoods, a smell so distinctive that Emiratis living abroad say it's what makes them most homesick. The dish requires wheat to be soaked overnight under the desert stars. And yes, this makes a difference according to local cooks. Then it's combined with lamb or chicken and beaten, literally beaten with a wooden stick called a medrab, for hours until it reaches a consistency that is neither solid nor liquid, but something transcendent. At Harissa Al Farij restaurant, they still use the same copper pots that have been cooking this dish for 50 years. The chef there told me that the secret ingredient isn't actually an ingredient at all. It's patience, In a city known for building the world's tallest building in just 6 years, Harry's is a reminder that some things can't be rushed. But here's where things get really interesting. Dubai has taken its most traditional protein and turned it into something that would make a Silicon Valley food innovator jealous. Enter the camel burger. Yes, you heard that right. Camel burger. At local house restaurant in the Al Fahidi historical neighborhood, they're serving up patties made from the same animals that once carried frankincense across the empty quarter. But this isn't some touristy gimmick. Camel meat is 50% leaner than beef, contains 3 times more iron, and has a flavor profile that professional chefs describe as what beef dreams of becoming. The meat comes from camels, raised on a diet that includes dates, giving it a subtle sweetness, and the buns are made with flour milled from wheat grown in the UAE's surprising agricultural regions. One bite, and you understand why Bedouins considered camel meat a luxury reserved for the most important celebrations. The story gets even more fascinating when you learn about the camel farms outside Dubai. These aren't your typical ranchers. They're high-tech operations where each camel wears a GPS tracker, receives regular spa treatments, and some even have their own Instagram accounts. The most prized racing camels are worth more than Faris, and their diet is monitored by nutritionists who previously worked with Olympic athletes. It's this blend of ancient reverence and cutting-edge innovation that makes Dubai's camel culture so uniquely fascinating. And then there's Lukeemit, the dessert that proves Dubai understood viral food trends centuries before social media existed. These golden orbs of fried dough, drizzled with date syrup and sprinkled with sesame seeds, are basically the original Instagram-worthy dessert. But here's what food bloggers do untell you. Authentic Lukeemit dough is fermented using a starter that some families have kept alive for decades, feeding it with dates and honey like a cherished pet. At Logma restaurant, they serve Lukeemit with 17 different toppings, from traditional date syrup to lotus biscoff cream. But the old-timers will tell you that the best Lukeemit is still made by the street vendors who appear mysteriously during Ramadan, frying them fresh in enormous woks that have seasoned over generations. But wait, let me share something that will completely shatter your perception of Dubai's food scene. Remember when I mentioned that the most expensive meal might not be in a fancy restaurant? Here's the truth. During truffle season, Emiratis head to the desert to hunt for desert truffles, known locally as These aren't your European truffles. They're even rarer. They only appear after specific weather conditions. Thunder must occur in October, followed by rain in November, and then perfect temperatures in December. Local families guard their truffle hunting spots more carefully than state secrets. A single kilogram can sell for thousands of dollars, and the knowledge of where to find them is passed down through generations like heirloom jewelry. One truffle hunter told me his grandfather taught him to watch the behavior of certain beetles that change their patterns when truffles are near. It's deep connection to the land that tourists miss when they see Dubai only as a futuristic playground. Let's talk about something that will blow your mind about Dubai's architecture. Beyond the obvious skyscrapers, did you know that the traditional wind towers you see in old Dubai are actually more effective at cooling than modern air conditioning in certain conditions? These towers, called bargiel, create a pressure differential that draws cool air down and pushes hot air up, maintaining temperatures up to 10 degrees Celsius cooler than outside without using a single watt of electricity. Modern architects are now studying these ancient designs to create sustainable cooling systems for the future. The Dubai municipality has even mandated that certain new constructions incorporate these principles. It's a perfect metaphor for Dubai itself, using ancient wisdom to build the future. Speaking of hidden architectural marvels, let me tell you about the Al Fahidi historical neighborhood, which almost didn't survive. In the 1980s, it was slated for demolition to make way for modern development. One British architect named Rainer Otter spent years convincing authorities to preserve it, often paying for restoration work out of his own pocket. Today, it is a living museum where you can still find houses with walls made from coral stone and roofs built from palm fronds. But here is the kicker. These traditional materials actually perform better in the desert heat than many modern alternatives. The coral stone absorbs moisture from the humid night air and releases it during the day, creating a natural cooling effect. Some residents have told me their traditional houses stay cooler than their modern apartments, all without air conditioning. Now, let's destroy some myths about Dubai that even well-traveled people believe. First myth: Dubai is just for the ultra-wealthy. Reality check: 85% of Dubai's population consists of middle-class expatriate workers. There's an entire parallel economy of affordable dining, shopping, and entertainment that tourists never see. In areas like Satwa and Dera, you can have a full meal for less than the price of a coffee at Dubai Mall. These neighborhoods are where the real Dubai lives and breathes, where Pakistani truck art meets Filipino karaoke bars, where Iranian carpet sellers drink chai with Indian spice merchants. Second myth: Dubai has no culture. It's all artificial. This one makes locals laugh. Dubai's maritime culture goes back thousands of years. Before oil, before skyscrapers, this was a society of pearl divers, traders, and fishermen. The Dubai Museum showcases diving equipment that has changed in design for 500 years, because it was already perfect. Local families still own dhows that their great-grandfathers used to sail to India and East Africa. Some of these vessels are now equipped with GPS and satellite phones, but they still navigate using stars when the captain wants to show off. At the Dhow wharfage, near Dera, you can watch these boats being loaded with everything from electronics to exotic birds, continuing trade routes that have existed since before Europe discovered America. Third myth: everything in Dubai is new. Archaeological excavations have found evidence of settlements dating back to 3000 BCE. The recent discovery of a monastery, Sinjar Island, suggests that Dubai was a multicultural trading hub, even in the 6th century. They've found wine storage jars, suggesting that ancient Dubai was a lot more liberal than many people assume. These discoveries are rewriting the history books and proving that Dubai's openness to different cultures is a modern invention. It is literally built into the foundation of the city. Here's something that'll completely change how you see Dubai's future. While everyone talks about the Burj Khalifa or the Palm Jumeirah, the real revolution is happening in the desert outside the city. Dubai is building the world's largest concentrated solar power plant, which will provide electricity to 1.3 million homes. But here's the mind-blowing part. They're using molten salt to store solar energy, allowing the plant to provide power even at night. This technology was actually inspired by traditional methods of storing heat in desert stones, a technique Bedouins have used for centuries. The project's chief engineer told me they consulted with local tribal elders to understand traditional desert survival techniques, and those conversations led to breakthrough innovations in their storage system. The Dubai food security strategy aims to make the Emirati a global leader in vertical farming. They're already producing 3,000 kilograms of leafy greens daily, using 95% less water than traditional farming. The seeds for this project, literally and figuratively, came from studying how desert plants survive with minimal water. Scientists discovered that certain local plants enter a state of cryptobiosis, essentially pausing their life processes during drought. They're now applying these principles to crop cultivation, potentially revolutionizing agriculture in arid regions worldwide. One vertical farm I visited produces strawberries that taste better than anything I've had in temperate climates, all while using seawater that's been desalinated using solar power. But perhaps the most fascinating future project is the Museum of the Future, which isn't just about displaying technology, it's about creating it. The building itself is a marvel, covered in Arabic calligraphy that forms the outer shell with no columns inside, creating a completely open space. The calligraphy isn't random. It's quotes from Sheikh Mohammed about the future turned into structural elements. Engineers spent 3 years figuring out how to make poetry look inside. They're not showing you the future. They're inviting you to build it. One exhibit allows visitors to design genetic modifications to help humans survive on Mars. And the best ideas are actually sent to space agencies for consideration. Let me share something about Dubai's multicultural fabric that will astound you. The city hosts 200 nationalities, making it more diverse than New York or London. But here's what's remarkable. Crimes between different ethnic groups are virtually non-existent. A criminologist studying this phenomenon discovered that Dubai's urban planning deliberately creates spaces where different communities must interact. Unlike other cities where ethnic groups cluster in separate neighborhoods, Dubai's housing policies ensure mixing at every level. Your neighbor might be from Nigeria, your grocer from Kerala, your child's teacher from Canada. This forced proximity has created something beautiful. A generation of children who speak 4 languages before they read 10 and think having friends from 30 different countries is normal. The Gold Souk isn't just about jewelry, it's about trust. Deals worth millions happen with a handshake and a cup of tea. The souk operates on a system of trust that predates contracts and lawyers. Merchants told me about transactions where gold is given on credit to buyers they've never met, based solely on a phone call from a trusted intermediary. This system has a default rate of less than 0.1%, better than most banks. It is a reminder that Dubai's success isn't built on oil or real estate, it is built on relationships that span continents and generations. Here is a pattern interrupt that will shake your assumptions. Dubai's most exclusive restaurant you aren't in a hotel or a skyscraper. It is in someone's home. The supper club movement has taken off among Emiratis, who open their private homes to share traditional meals with strangers. These aren't commercial operations. Hosts often lose money. It's about preserving and sharing culture. At one such dinner, I ate camel meat that had been marinated for 48 hours in a blend of 27 spices, each added at a specific hour, according to a timeline written on parchment. The host, a retired pearl diver, served it on plates that his grandfather received as a wedding gift from the ruler of Dubai in 1935. You can't find this experience on TripAdvisor or book it through a travel agent. You have to know someone who knows someone. And that's exactly the point. The sustainability revolution in Dubai goes beyond solar panels and vertical farms. They're creating the world's first hydrogen-powered flying taxi service, with test flights already happening over the desert. But here is the crazy part. The project was inspired by studying the flight patterns of desert hawks, which have evolved to fly using minimal energy in extreme heat. Engineers spent months in the desert learning how these birds read thermals and air currents invisible to human eyes. This biomimicry approach has reduced energy consumption by 40% compared to conventional designs. Let me tell you about Dubai's hidden beach culture that tourists completely miss. While everyone crowds onto JBR Beach, locals head to secret spots like the mangroves of Jebel Ali, where flamingos outnumber people 100 to 1. These mangroves are actually growing despite climate change, because Dubai is using treated wastewater to expand wetland areas. Marine biologists have recorded 36 species of fish that didn't exist here 20 years ago. Attracted by the improving water quality, local fishing families who thought their way of life was ending are now teaching sustainable fishing practices to environmental science students from around the world. The art scene in Dubai deserves its own recognition. Al Sarkal Avenue has become the Brooklyn of the Middle East, but with a twist. Many galleries are owned by women, in a region where that's still revolutionary. One gallery owner told me she displays art that would be banned in neighboring countries, protected by Dubai's commitment to cultural expression. The most powerful piece I saw was a sculpture made from discarded abeyas, each one telling a story of transformation and choice. The artist sold it for a record price, and the buyer, a conservative sheik who said it reminded him of his daughter's journey to becoming a pilot. Coffee culture in Dubai predates Starbucks by about 400 years. Traditional gawa isn't just a drink, it's a language. The way you shake your cup signals whether you want more, the order of serving indicates respect, and the blend of cardamom to coffee reveals the host's regional origins. In Majlis gatherings, business deals worth billions are still sealed over tiny cups of this bitter brew. One CEO told me he judges potential partners by how they receive gawa. Those who grimace at the bitterness rarely succeed in the tough Gulf business environment. The Dubai fountain breaks records, but here's what nobody tells you. Its choreographer is a former NASA engineer who designed water recycling systems for space stations. He programs each show like a rocket launch, calculating water pressure, wind speed, and even humidity to ensure perfect synchronization. The fountain uses the same amount of water as a small pool because 98% is recycled and filtered. During Ramadan, he creates special shows that spell out Quranic verses in water, a technical feat that requires adjusting 6,600 lights and 25 color projectors in real time. Now for the moment that will completely reframe everything you thought you knew about Dubai. The city's founder, Sheikh Rashid, once said, "My grandfather rode a camel, my father rode a camel, I drive a Mercedes, my son drives a Land Rover. His son will drive a Land Rover, but his son will ride a camel." This wasn't pessimism. It was planning. Every futuristic project in Dubai is designed with post-oil economics in mind. The tourism, the free zones, the vertical farms. They were all part of a 50-year plan to ensure that when the oil runs out, Dubai doesn't just survive, it thrives. They're not building for today's Instagram posts. They're building for their great-grandchildren's reality. The most exclusive experience in Dubai is UNT's 7-star hotel or a private jet tour. It's spending a night with the Bedouin conservation teams who are recreating the desert ecosystem. These modern Bedouins use drones to track wildlife, but they still read the desert like their ancestors, knowing which dune will shift in the wind and where rain will collect months later. They're reintroducing extinct species, like the Arabian oryx, using DNA preserved from museum specimens. One conservationist showed me footprints in the sand and correctly predicted a sandstorm 12 hours later based on how a desert fox had changed its hunting pattern. If you're ready to stop seeing Dubai as just another luxury destination and start understanding it as the most fascinating cultural experiment on Earth, if you want to taste what true innovation flavored with ancient wisdom actually means, then join the Dubai Curious community. Comment desert secrets below, and let's explore together the hidden souk where tomorrow's treasures are being forged today. Subscribe now, because the Dubai you think you know is just a mirage. The real oasis is waiting for those curious enough to look beyond the skyline. Remember, in a city where fishermen's sons become billionaires and ancient recipes inspire molecular gastronomy, the only limit is your willingness to discover. The question is on whether Dubai will surprise you. It is whether you're ready to have everything you believed, challenged, transformed, and elevated. Welcome to Dubai Curious, where every grain of sand has a story, and every story changes the future.